မင်္ဂလာပါရှင်။ကျွန်မနာမည်ကတော့ Emily D ပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်။ကျွန်မကတော့
I am Emily D.
မြန်မာ UNESCO Office မှာ Inclusive Education အားလုံးအကျုံးဝင်ပညာရေး
I am working with the UNESCO for the inclusive education, and I'll be like acting as a facilitator for this webinar. So for this occasion, I would like to welcome everyone who is present here, and for so this is our 8th online and webinar organized by UNESCO Myanmar. So today our topic is bringing living heritage into the classrooms. So for this today, our webinar will be divided into 3 parts. So the first of all, the first part is what is living heritage, and why is it important, and we will be also presenting how to integrate living heritage in a lesson plan, and there will be also a session on teacher experience of conducting cultural activities in the class and student testimony. So for this, we have invited for these topics, we have invited Montakan and Miss Lidina, and we have also invited Nanchipo Shanle and So Myotan. So they will be presented. They will be presenting how the living heritage is integrated or complementing the lessons in the classroom. Afterwards, there will be a question and Q&A session. So for this, you can write your questions in the Q&A box, and the questions will be addressed in the Q&A session, and some speakers will be also directly answering your questions there. So afterwards, we will be presenting the resources, resource toolkit, and also animation. So therefore, in this webinar, I would like to request everyone to to be present in the whole webinar. So for this webinar, we also have an interpretation function. And so for this, please choose your language preference. There is Myanmar and English. So I would like to request the participants to we have arranged that we have muted your microphone. It is also very essential for this kind of online webinar. So for this, if you have any info, if you want any clarification needed, or if you want to ask any questions, so please use Q&A icon so that the session will be interactive. And this webinar will be recorded, and for this record, you will be accessible later in the UNESCO YouTube and also Facebook page. So now I would like to invite Mr. Ichiro Miyazawa to provide opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mingalaba 네, 가온라.
Mingalaba, how are you?
이치로로 코바데.
I am Ichiro.
Thank you so much for today. I highly appreciate your participation. So many good speakers, Lina, LK, and then Najito, and also some students coming together to share great experience on heritages, living heritage into the classroom, which is so important topic. And then please allow me to speak just 5 minutes. I try to make it short as possible. Yes, I think the key topic today is somehow how do we preserve important culture into the education. Through education, we make sure it's disseminated, it's going to be preserved. But also, since I'm an educationist, let me look at this seminar from education specialist to be. I think it's about how we make education more meaningful. Yes, look at the current education, bit unfortunate, examination oriented, people suffer, lots of pressure, examination after examination. And after the university, most of us, we don't know what to do. We don't know who we are. Is this the education we are pushing? And then now we look at, advanced technology, right? So many things happening over the countries. Demography, countries, economies, and then we wonder, how do we go about our education? Is it okay for us to keep this current education? Right? And then we know somehow from my experience, right? Maybe it's not so useful for our life. So then the question is how we make education more meaningful for more people, right? So please allow me to share some interesting words from all people, legendary people in the past, right? Yes, I'll be quick, right? Yes. Okay. Yes, let me start with gentleman. Do we have any idea who he is? If you know the answer, we send you the gift, chocolate later. Let me know, right? Okay, sorry, my time is limited. Okay, Confucius, 2,500 years ago, he was there, right? Let me know, right, what he says. Education breeds confidence. Confidence breeds hope. Hope breeds peace. Wow, it's true, huh? Right? This is something we want to push, especially country like here, Myanmar. Next one, who is it? Einstein. Einstein says, sorry, my time is limited. Let me just go quick. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Right? Okay, next one. Montessori, very famous. The child who concentrates is immensely happy, which means, right? If we give them something boring, children are very unhappy. But then if we bring the good content that they can be somehow absorbed, right? They are so happy. So they knew it. She knew it long time ago, right? And then Jean Piaget, he's a very famous education philosopher. Principal goal of education in schools should be creating men and women who are capable of doing new things, not simply repeating what other generations have done. It's about innovation. It's about creativity based on our cultures, right? Okay, this person is American professor, right? Yes, objective of education is giving meaning to the life of the students. Right? This requires making them aware of value they can create for others, how they can be useful to and be valued by others, right? This is the core objective of education. Okay, I'm coming to the end. John Dewey, very famous education philosopher, right? Again, the goal of education is to enable individuals to continue their education. It's about lifelong learning. So education, we provide whatever it is, and the education school, right? We have to make it more meaningful so that they can continue to learn forever, lifelong learning, right? Okay. So normally, I do like presentation for 1 hour, but then let me make it finish. But the whole point is, yes, let's make education more interesting, meaningful, using our culture, right? We shouldn't make students pressurized, blinded because of examination for tomorrow. We have to look at lifelong. In that sense, right, we have to look at our culture. Education must connect ourselves and the society And for this purpose, we need a culture for sure. But anyway, so happy again, thank you so much, great, colleague from Bangkok office, and let's make education and then today's session more meaningful. I hope everybody enjoyed today. Thank you so much. That's all from me.
Thank you very much. So we are going to begin our webinar presentation. So first of all, I would like to invite Montaka Subanatap. So let me introduce to Montaka. So she has been she joined UNESCO in 2011 and is currently a program officer for culture at UNESCO Bangkok with education background in linguistics, museology, and cultural project development. She is responsible for implementing national and regional capacity building projects on intangible heritage safeguarding, sustainable heritage management, professionalization of heritage-related careers, and prevention of illicit trafficking of cultural properties. Her interest has been on interdisciplinary and participatory approaches to heritage safeguarding and sustainable tourism, with focus on ensuring ethics in working alongside local communities and indigenous people. Today, Montaka will be presenting what living heritage is and why this living heritage is important for schools. Now, I would like to call upon Montaka to make a presentation. Thank you very much.
Everyone. So thank you very much for a very gracious introduction, and thank you, Ishiro, as well, for foregrounding the presentation, foregrounding such in a very, very good way to this presentation. So without further ado, I would like to start. I might be speaking a bit fast, so I will try to speak slow, because it's my nature to speak fast, but I'll try and make it slow as possible. So today, let's touch base before we go on to an in-depth knowledge with Lenina, the next speakers, and the experience sharing of many other very honorable speakers today. So let's touch base on the basics with me. I'm here today to talk mainly about what the definition of living heritage or intangible cultural heritage that you may know, this term is a very, very complex term at the international level, but I think for the past decade, we've been working very hard at UNESCO level and at national level to try and make it understandable to people as much as possible. I'm going to speak in the context for teachers today. And the second question would be why is the living heritage important for teachers, for students at school? So first of all, what is living heritage? So by the international definition of intangible cultural heritage or living heritage, these two words are the same thing. It has the same meaning. It means the knowledge, expression, practices, or skills that based on culture, which communities or group of people, or sometimes a few number of people, accept as their own identity, their cultural and social identity, and they feel the ownership of this particular culture, and they feel that they need to take care of it. Yeah, the stewardship is taking care of it. And this particular intangible cultural heritage is not going to be something static. It's not like a building, it's not an object, it's not something that's just there, but it's something that is inside you, and it can be passed on from one generation to another generation by means of learning the skills from one to another. For example, you have Tinh Yang, you learn the tradition of Tinh Yang from your mother, from your grandmother period. So that's how you transmit this particular living heritage. And the living heritage cannot be frozen. It cannot be like something that doesn't change over time. The change is actually healthy for living heritage. So once the living heritage has been constantly changing, the way we practice Tinh Yang today could be slightly or a lot different from the way we practiced it 100 years ago, for example. And it evolved because it has to evolve to be fit with the context of the context of our present day way of life, basically. So it changed by environment, it changed by the social changes that we have as a human being. There are different ways to categorize living heritage, but this is like what we would propose like as a kind of a universal way, but it's not necessarily limit to this. At UNESCO level, we categorize them into traditional craftsmanship, oral tradition, performing arts, social practice, ritual and festival, knowledge and practice on the universe, and some country could have like literature, could have traditional sports, could have traditional games, for example. And I know that in Myanmar, you also have a very particular way to categorize at the your Ministry of Culture. So when we talk about living heritage, the main thing, aside from what they are, what it is consisting of, the main idea that you have to take away when you talk about that, oh, I want to take care of living heritage, for example, when you say that, what does that mean? That means that by trying to take care of it, you don't just kind of like limit people or prevent people from practicing your culture. That doesn't help protecting it or taking care of it. But you have to show that you can respect and collaborate with local communities, with the knowledge holder, the practitioners, the people who pass on the particular tradition that you want to take care of. And you support the process of transmitting it, of passing it on to the next generation, to the young generation, for example, students. And you are open in terms of the mindset to diverse cultural interpretations. One people can interpret a particular cultural heritage or cultural festivals in a different way to another people, and that should not be something that you can say is good or bad or is right or wrong, but it's just a different perspective, it's a different ways of beholding or having perspective towards one culture. So the differences could be among different generations, different races, different religions, for example. So these are the main thought when we talk about that we want to be a part to taking care of our Myanmar's living heritage, for example. So these are the three key points: respect, transmit, and being open-minded. So next question would be like, why is the living heritage important to schools, to students, to teachers, to educators, to school directors, for example? So to start off, when we, I think like Ishiro actually make a very good point as well when you say like the value like and the core objective of giving education to someone is for them to be able to use it in their real life, right? So one of the reasons that intangible cultural heritage is actually important is that it puts subject matter that sometimes very distant, the student could feel very distant to their life, into the context that is very near to their life, in the context specific kind of content. For example, when you teach math, you could teach math with traditional embroidery pattern that is actually quite similar to forms of I don't know how that, geometry, sorry. For example, it could be something that's similar to geometry, and you use embroidery that is from the particular ethnic community in the state. For example, the kind of Kachin state embroidery that could be taught with geometry or something, and the students could feel that this is something very near to their life, to their context, and they could have more focus and more interest to learn about it. And the result would be you have a better learning outcome for the students. Secondly, when it comes to teaching something that is very local to somebody, you teach the person to be able to work in the particular localities, in the hometowns, for example. You don't teach them to, at the end, I'm pretty sure no teachers would hope that they teach the student and the student would be like, flying away to abroad and then work for some company abroad. They would actually want the students to work, to develop, to progress their communities, their hometown, right? So when you put the knowledge in a very, very relevant context to the life, to the needs around the present life of the students, you create a very streetwise learner, the person who can use their knowledge from classroom directly to apply to surviving, to having good livelihood in their social and cultural context. So for example, that we have a project like UNESCO Bangkok, actually at the regional level, we start off the program on intangible heritage or living heritage and education since 2013. We approach first from the formal education, just like what we're doing today. And at first we start very small and very not quite clear direction as we are now. We gather experiences and lesson plan from 4 pilot countries in Asia Pacific, in Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Vietnam, and Palau. And these particular lesson plans, they are very, very hands-on. They're very useful. And one of the things that we could see as the kind of a common ground for all the lesson plans that we gather from these 4 countries is how it is so practical to the present day life of the students. For example, as I mentioned already, in mathematics, in Pakistan, they use the embroidery patterns on the dress as a way to teach geometry in the class. In Palau, in social well-being and PE classes, the students were taught about the concept of road safety through the custom of pulapis. The custom of pulapis is a kind of social value of Palauan people that praise generosity, respect, humility, and royalty. So they teach this kind of concept on the road safety, like the respect of road safety through the respect of traditional customary practices. And in Vietnam, they teach physics with Muang Gong. Muang Gong is a musical instrument that you see in the picture here. Is create like a kind of a sound wave, like oscillation. So in physics, you learn about oscillation through this traditional musical instrument as well in Vietnam. So these, you can also download some of the lesson plans that I show here in bangkok.unesco.org. So this particular publication is available for downloading. Is in English, unfortunately. So third reasons why we think that living heritage is going to be very important for school is that, so what I already said, since the second reason is that once you create a skill for decent job in the locality, you kind of prevent the thing that we call brain drain, or when human capital flight from original country to another country and benefiting the other country instead of their own country. So that's the third ultimate reasons why. Example of this is that we last year we also had a chance to venture outside the formal education environment to the non-formal and informal education in Thailand. So we work with the Office of Non-Formal and Informal Education under the Ministry of Education in Thailand, and we introduced the concept of living heritage and education to teachers in community learning centers in Thailand. So in Thailand, we have about 3,000 community learning centers, and I'm pretty sure in Myanmar, they're quite a lot as well. And we select about 15 of them to award, to participate in the project, and 8 of them were awarded to seed money to taste the lesson plan in their community learning center. And we've got the result from teaching about traditional herbs, teaching about traditional textile production, food, and everything in their community learning centers subjects. And we created this publication. Lenina will be able to tell you more about this. This is a manual on how to develop lesson plan in the non-formal and informal education context. Right now it's only in Thai language, but we plan to translate to other language in the future. So let's see. Also, another question closer to your context, teachers, is our present project on bringing living heritage to classroom in Asia Pacific. So we started off in 2019 with 6 countries in Asia Pacific. We're targeting teachers, school executives, and students as the main participants of the project. And our stakeholders include from the very decision-making level of the Ministry of Education, Teacher Training Institute, school to network of educators and universities. So what we did on the trial year, on the pilot year of this project is that we organized teacher trainings, which is like a 3 to 4 days online modality. It was during a COVID time for teachers in different countries to develop lesson plans together, and then they taste it at their own schools. And so we teach it in pairing the living heritage concept with the framework of global citizenship education. So just like what Myanmar is doing right now. Teachers manage to taste their lesson plans at the school for 1 semester, and they have follow-up sessions with our ICH and GCED experts to look at the challenges, learning, lesson learned, and the transformation of students and teachers in the process of start using a living heritage in their classes. And at the end, we produce these resources, which is globally accessible right now. First is the book called Resource Kit. It consists of 101 lesson plans and activity that you can use as examples to develop your own. And we have the online course for teachers. Right now is in English language, hosted by Asia Pacific Center for Education for International Understanding, or APSEU, in Korea. So this is like inside the Resource Kit book. So you have like a lot of very vivid examples of how we can apply living heritage in art class, in science class, or in a different cultural context, or using, like, for example, traditional games to teach in social science class. And this is the online course. So inside, the teacher will have like this very enjoyable animated lessons that with representation, like with like an actual real human being lecture in the process of this online course. So try that. So I would like to end my presentation today with some testimony from Nepal, Thailand, and in Cambodia.
Regarding my experience and the benefits of using living heritage in schools, it helps to preserve and promote our culture, our local cultures and traditions. It connected to their own identities. It enhances the traditional knowledge and skill. It is best tools to celebrate our own culture, to bring harmony and cohesive to the classroom. It improves relationship with their schoolmates and community people. It teaches traditional approach to cope with grief and disparity. Especially, I teach traditional paintings of a festival. It's named as Cow Festival. It is it's a symbol of for resilience and to overcome with grief and disparities.
ในประสบการณ์ตรงเนี่ยนะครับข้าพเจ้าก็คิดว่าการสอดแทรกหรือการใช้มรดกภูมิปัญญาเนี่ยนะครับกับวัฒนธรรมในการเรียนรู้เนี่ยนะครับมีประโยชน์กับผู้เรียนเป็นอย่างยิ่งนะครับประการแรกเนี่ยนะครับเรามองถึงเรื่องของมรดกภูมิปัญญาที่อยู่ในพื้นที่เนี่ยนะครับเด็กๆได้มีโอกาสได้เรียนรู้กับผู้รู้นะครับเป็นปราชญ์นะครับและก็รวมถึงแหล่งเรียนรู้ต่างๆที่อยู่ในพื้นที่นะครับหรือว่าเราใช้ทรัพยากรในพื้นที่ของเราเองนะครับให้เกิดประโยชน์สูงสุดกับการเรียนรู้ของผู้เรียนนะครับในมิติต่างๆทั้งในด้านวัฒนธรรมนะครับในด้านเรื่องของการแสดงก็ดีนะครับรวมถึงการงานหัตถกรรมต่างๆนะครับหรือมรดกภูมิปัญญาด้านอื่นๆด้วยนะครับที่สำคัญก็คือเด็กเราเองได้มีการได้ใช้ความคิดนะครับของการฝึกในเรื่องของการวิเคราะห์สังเคราะห์นะครับคิดอย่างมีวิจารณญาณสิ่งเหล่านี้นะครับพอเด็กได้ฝึกเนี่ยนะครับเด็กก็ต้องได้ลงมือปฏิบัตินะครับลงมือปฏิบัติแล้วก็ได้ภาระงานชิ้นงานที่สะท้อนถึงความสามารถของเด็กนะครับในการต่อยอดมรดกภูมิปัญญาต่างๆด้วยนะครับรวมถึงการที่เราใช้เด็กๆเองนะครับได้ใช้มรดกภูมิปัญญาต่างๆเนี่ยนะครับสร้างมูลค่าเพิ่มในผลิตภัณฑ์ต่างๆที่เด็กๆได้ช่วยกันคิดขึ้นมานะครับ
within this implementation is that the school directors really excited, and they showed us a very positive response. Especially, they said that since we, since they had ICH education in their school, they observed that their students really change the way they learning, and create a very create things within the class creatively. That's why they feel like this is very important, and ICH education it's like trying to dig out, like the real talents of their students in the class by, even like how to work as a team, how to discuss and how to present their work, and more importantly, the ICH education create an environment for the student that they really make them happy, so that they, for example, like after they joining the class, that they always feel curious, about this, about that, and this is something that they start using this to ask other teachers about this, about that, about the reason, about the why, about the outcome, and everything like that.
Okay.
Regarding my experience.
Okay, so I'm trying to get to the next. Okay, so that was some of the testimonies from our participants in the regional project. So just to end today, like with some of the updates. So at UNESCO Bangkok for 2023, this year, we plan to hold an Asia Pacific lesson plan contest. It's going to be around like July to September this year. So the winners, teachers who submit the lesson plan and got selected, that there are good lesson plans, and UNESCO will give some seed funding for you to try your very good lesson plans at your own school. So it's kind of like to actualize your lesson plan at your school. So hopefully the teachers who join like the Myanmar project will also take this great opportunity. Also, aside from that, all the very good lesson plans around the world will be collected at UNESCO database called the Clearinghouse at the UNESCO headquarters, which will consist of all the lesson plans on how to use living heritage in classroom across the Asia Pacific region and in other parts of the world as well. We also plan to translate the online course to other languages for non-English speakers, and hopefully we'll also have some of the Burmese language in the future as well. So that was actually all I have for the updates and for like kind of like, touch basing on some basics before you going in more in depth into the steps of how you can create the lesson plans today.
Okay, ကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ် Khopon Kha for your sharing today. ကျမတို့ဒီနေ့ပေါ့နော်ဆရာမမတက်ခါကနေပြီးတော့မှကျမတို့ရဲ့ဒီရှင်သန်နေတဲ့အမွေနှစ်ဆိုတာဒီမျိုးဆက်တွေဒီယဉ်ကျေးမှု
Montaka has like explained to us the meaning of living heritage. So and like this like heritage has been like passing on from one generation to another, and the and also the benefits of integrating living heritage like into like classroom like subjects. So this kind of like learning will also enhance the like skills or skills of the like students, so that they will have a decent job after their education. So and So she has explained to us all these like valuable like benefits and also the invaluable information. So if you have any if you have any question, if you want to give any comments, then your questions and like comments are welcome, and you can leave your leave your information or like feedback or question in the Q&A. Now I would like to call upon like Miss Linina. So she is an accredited UNESCO facilitator. She has been facilitating for capacity building workshops for the intangible cultural heritage in the Asia Pacific region, with experiences in Thailand, Philippines, Mongolia, Republic of Korea, Japan, Pakistan, and China. She has also trained ASEAN young leaders on advocating cultural wisdom for climate action. She has collaborated with national and international partners on projects related to cultural heritage and sustainable development, community-based inventorying and safeguarding, education, global citizenship, and cultural tourism. At Chulalongkorn University, she teaches cultural policy and cross-cultural communication. Her field research and interests focus on participatory-based approaches to safeguarding the intangible cultural heritage. She is also a co-founder and co-host of with the cast a Thai educating focus program on pop science and social sciences with about 60,000 followers. Linina is currently based in Bangkok, Thailand. So like today, she will be explaining to us 6 steps to integrate living heritage in a lesson plan. Now I would like to call upon Ms. Linina.
Thank you so much. Mingalabak. Good morning, everyone. Sawadee ka. So my name is Lenina. You can call me Nina. And so thank you so much for the invitation today. And my role today is to share and walk you through the 6 steps of integrating living heritage in lesson plan or educational activities. So let me share my slide with you. Just a moment. Okay, can you see this? Is it on? Okay, thank you. So, so first of all, these 6 steps have been co-developed by, education unit and also culture unit at UNESCO. And then we take the 6 steps and then experimented and then adapted and then adjusted to different contexts around the world. So let me just go through just the basic 6 steps first. So mind you that the 6 steps, they're not just like, dry 6 steps, but in between, several principles have been embedded in between the different steps. And they're also, added with stories, proposed methodologies, and also, different, and try to provoke your thoughts and conceptions. So I like Mr. Ichiro, presentation in the beginning that through education, what we're trying to propose or promote is through creativity, and that we're creating new things based on all existing knowledge. And that is also aligns with what Kun Montagat said about the principle of living heritage. It's something that we value something in the past, and then it's currently in the present. And the question is, how do we promote it to continue into the future, and in a meaningful way, and allowing healthy changes to happen according to the needs of the people and also to the context. So with that, in using this model, we're also following that principle. How do we keep the existing meaningful value and parts? And how do we encourage teachers and educators to experiment and create new meaningful things to make it even better? And that really aligns with SDG or Sustainable Development Goals as well. How do we as human beings progress together into the future towards something that is better, more inclusive, and more meaningful. So in that process, these 6 steps really promote a lot about co-creation, meaning that the students and the teachers and also the community members and stakeholders will work together. So let me go through the 6 steps now. And please feel free to just take away what resonate or relate to you, because this is not a fixed one model that fits all. So this is the big picture of the model on how to develop curriculum integrating ICH. And the goal is we want to first, number one, how do we promote better life for people, better rights, and also how do we safeguard or protect and promote our culture? At the same time, how do we help the students enhance their learning competencies? So the first step is to understand the context. And once you understand the whole context, you can start to select a particular ICH element. And Kun LK has already explained what ICH or living heritage means, right? And once you have about that, the third step would be, let's find information and understand now in depth about that living heritage. With all this information, you progress on to the 4th step on now, how do we develop a new curriculum, a subject or learning activity, or maybe we can just improve it with the new information that we have gathered. For number 5 and number 6 is more of, documenting and concentrating on behind the scene process, so that for you and for other people, we can learn from this process together. So to document it and then to evaluate the whole outcomes and outputs too. So this is just the big picture. And now I'll be going through the details of each step. But in actual training, actually, it would take like hours to go through that. But I will leave a link that you can self-study at your own pace later on. But here is the first step, understand your context. So what does it mean to understand the context? You can see the question here. Where do I begin, right? Where do I begin? So first, let's take a look around. What are the living heritage in your surrounding, in your environment, whether it's at school, at a community, in your province, or in your country? And you can start to think about ICH or living heritage that relate to your learners or to your students, something that they feel so strongly about. And usually this method works very well when students are asked to pick and study a particular ICH or living heritage that relates to them. They're more interested, and it's also easier for them to do research or to find information. Or you can talk about the living heritage that are in the communities that surround the school. Because we have to acknowledge too that not all students are local people. Sometimes they, come from other places. So they would feel immediately cut off when they said, oh, now the students talk about the local heritage, but then they're not from the local area, right? So maybe another approach is they can talk about their own living heritage, or maybe this is an opportunity for them to also learn about other culture. With the concept of global citizen education or global citizenship is to think globally, but act locally. It doesn't mean that you try to think about what's going on in the world, what is the international trend, and neglecting your local identity and local, you start with yourself, understanding yourself, and then connecting to different people. And that enhances your cultural tolerance and cultural competency as well. You understand yourself and you understand others. And how do we do that? So in many schools that I have worked with, they use this approach. They allow and empower their students to freely pick the living heritage, whether that relate to themselves, or some students get inspired to learn about other people's culture, and then they work together. And the third type could be, maybe you start with what already exists there, like there's some kind of local archive, learning community that already have documented some living heritage. So it will be easier and less discouraging or less challenging, depending on your resources too, or something that is already taught, so that you can do that. Another fun trick is to ask the students to identify living heritage in their own family. you know, and maybe they never really thought about this. And it's good because when they ask their parents, they go back home and they ask their parents or grandparents, like, what is that old picture about? Grandma, what are you cooking? Or dad, father, what is that? Why do you do this wood carving? What does it mean? Something is so natural. And that is also the concept of living heritage. We want to focus also on the daily living heritage, something that is meaningful to a person. And it doesn't matter if it's listed on UNESCO representation list or, you know, best example or not, or whether it's on a state's, you know, or de facto authorities list or not, it doesn't matter, because ICH, what it means is something that is in our daily life. It doesn't have to be universally excellent. If it's meaningful to a person, to that community, that is living heritage. So with that, the students can come back and study about their own identity as well. So when you know what ICH to use, which ICH, like what kind of ICH options are there, then the second is how do you integrate it? So there are many different ways. Number one, you can directly teach about that living heritage. For example, wood carving. You can create a subject about wood carving, traditional wood carving, or just like how Ms. Montagan have presented, you can also use it to teach physics, or you can use it something like that. And there are many fun examples in the past where teachers were empowered to experiment freely with integrating different, you know, subjects together. And sometimes 3 subject teachers came together and then said, let's work on this together. So there's math, there's art, there's language, and then they use living heritage as a main component that adheres all the other subjects together. You can create a new one, or you can just improve the existing one. You can teach it only as part of the subject or curriculum, or maybe you create a whole new one for that living heritage. So these are just some of the starting questions that you can have. And then the next thing is still about understanding the context, is you also need to know and look around who are the people around there that could be related to this process. Teachers, of course, school management. In many examples, it is really important that the school management is on board. in the cases where the school directors, principals, or leaders were on board, then higher success, because, you know, the process of approval or trying to get extra, you know, support for financial support, or to authorize different subjects to come together to allow the permission to use of a place, et cetera, would be more efficient if the school management is on board. So from the whole process, you need to integrate that too. Of course, we're also looking at cultural representations, right? Because we're talking about culture. So are there local cultural intellects, senior leaders, the wise one, and also community center? Maybe there's also museums, et cetera. And after that, when you know who are they, just briefly brainstorm and do research. Like, then what kind of support or what kind of expertise or what kind of resources or roles they can provide or play, and that you will be able to implement your plan more successfully. So you can probably already see this is only the first step, but the 6 steps of integrating living heritage in classroom is not only about just research, but is strategic implementation. Okay, and then timing is very important too. If you're teaching about a festival that particularly takes place during, for example, April, then, you know, when you plan your lesson, you also see like, oh, my subject is taught in October, then maybe that festival would not be a best example to use in my class, or et cetera. So, you know, because if it's possible, if the living heritage happens while during the semester or during the learning activity timeline, then there's higher chance that students can be more engaged with the communities or directly with that living heritage by direct observation, participation, and research. So that's the first step. The second step is now when you have a list of choices, now you select the living heritage. The question is, how do you select it? Like, what kind of criteria can you use? So there are many different options. So first is pretty much tied to the academic system. So you can pick which one relates most to you, which is the most practical. You can see a learning unit. So maybe you start with your learning unit. And mind you, this is, a universal model. In your education system, you might use different term or different approach. But let me propose the big picture first. So we can start with the learning unit and then see which living heritage relates to that learning unit. For example, the learning unit might be about craftsmanship that students can use to earn income as well. Then you can pick learning about history only might not be strongly related as picking something that is about producing something, cooking, handicrafts, weaving, etc. So it really depends on your learning unit. The second, you might focus on the subject of the name of the subject, and then see which one is more useful for the subject. The third, this is based on community-centered approach, is rather than focusing on the teacher's need, you can focus on how do you help, contribute to a better society and a better community. So after you do some basic research in the first step, you will realize some communities' problems. Maybe they will say that the problem is that this wood carving, the youth are not interested, is endangering right now. And it will die out pretty soon if nobody continues to learn about this. If you feel that this is the problem and the need that becomes a priority, then you might use traditional wood carving, to teach in class. So something like that. Or the community needs might be in a real case, for example. They said that the local economic is not doing well at all. So it needs to focus on this. So that could be about the problems base. The fourth one would be focused and centered upon the learner interest. So what are the students most interested in? Or you can use a combination of all. And this I will skip it, but when you select it, you can also consider what are the resources that are available to make it happen. And of course, when you select a living heritage, you have to also imagine their success, but what could be the possible obstacles? Is there a cultural barrier? Is there a pandemic that is going on or something like that? So this will help you decide strategically which to integrate. Now, the third step, we're almost halfway. The third step, now once you have selected, let's go in depth about the living heritage. And this is a step that probably, if we have a chance in the future, I can go through each of the steps with you, because this is actually a whole 3-day training for this program, this step only. But you can start with the 6 easy questions: what, who, where, when, why, and how. So you can probably already imagine what is it? And also don't forget about the intangible and tangible components. Even though we're studying about living heritage, but it is important that we also recognize what are the tools, equipments, materials needed. Who, we already talked about it, right? Where is it practiced? When is it practiced? The timeline. Now, I think it is important for why and how, if you look at it, because when we try to promote a living heritage, we need to understand not only Wikipedia style or encyclopedia, like who do this, what are the steps, how do you cook, something like that, and it's done. But the main question, the heart is, why? Why does the community or this person practice it? Because this question, if you can dissect it and understand it very well, then you can understand the value, meaning, and function of that living heritage to a person or community. And that is actually the heart to safeguarding, because you will see that there are some primary level of core and values, for example, spiritual value. And then the secondary that the community rates as less important, for example, economic. Then when you want to safeguard something, or you will realize that you cannot overlook the spiritual meaning for economic values, because if you do that, you will lose the core values, and then the festival will be less meaningful, or that ritual, and then the community will abandon it in the end. So that is not sustainable. And how is basically the description of it. The fourth step is now once you have all the information, now you know all the components, the resources, potential stakeholders and supporters in the community, you develop a curriculum or improve an existing one. And this, you can take a look at it later on. And these are some of the steps that have been adjusted for non-formal learning, but pretty much the steps are similar to also formal. But I will leave this because my time is kind of running up right now. So you can study the curriculums, develop a learning unit, define the goal, learning objectives, pick the teaching methods or pedagogies, and then how do you make it happen? Fifth step, basically document and share the process. This is co-learning together with your other teachers as well. And this will be kind of like a record or a log for yourself, for your own benefit when you come back and reflect upon your method, whether like this didn't work this last semester, there was this obstacle and I solved this problem through something like that. So this will help you work in a systematic way and be able to replicate the good ones in the future. And in this documentation process, you can also encourage your students to be a part of it. So for example, you can interview students or survey like how they feel about it. And they can also help, document, draw, or take pictures or video of the learning process. So you gather together in a systematic and organized kind of like archive or database, and also put your lessons plan there where people can learn together in your network. Whether it's a school network or a network that also connects to other schools and cultural organizations. Like in the case of Thailand, there have been projects in schools where school within a formal education system collaborated with non-formal education system. They worked together, even though their system were different, but they worked together and then they shared it together and then they helped improve each other. For example, some formal school teachers were invited to teach at the community learning centers. And then the community learning centers supported the help by hosting an event at a community, a very local style where primary school teachers and students could go there on a field trip. Okay. Lastly, to evaluate. So evaluate two things. Number one, learning outcomes. Of course, we want to see whether did it work? Did it meet the school's criteria and system as well? Did it improve the overall living conditions and social development? Did the students gain knowledge and skill sets for their life, especially but lifelong? Does it promote the knowledge and activities promote to better awareness and also, heartfelt feelings and passion for culture? And last, the second type, the type of evaluation will be about the teaching process. So now it's about like, did it add value to your course? That in the end, was your lesson more meaningful and interesting? Were students more engaged? Did it improve the relationship in that learning environment, etc.? Did the students feel more connected to the community, etc.? So these are the 6 steps, and then you repeat the whole step again. So that is the overview of the 6 steps for integrating living heritage. Thank you so much.
So thank you. Thank you very much for giving the 6 steps how to like integrate in the lessons, and how we can use the resources, the locally existing like resources to teach ICH in the classroom. Now I would like to call upon, I would like to introduce to you the 3rd speaker. So she is Nanchipole. So she has an extensive experience on working with youth and community in Cayenne State. She currently serves as community development teacher and service learning coordinator at Taunya Yet Education Gathering Group, EGG Academy. She is passionately in teaching and has organized different service learning activities with students in Cayenne State. She loves arts, cooking, traveling, and nature. She is the administrator of Pa'an to Facebook page, which is a food and travel blog promoting Karen culture and traditional food in Karen State. Before that, she also works as a former EGG alumni coordinator at EGG Alumni Network. So she holds a Bachelor of Law from Pa'an University. And together with Seama Nanchipo, then there will be another speaker. He is So Myo Tan. So So Myo Tan is a current student from Education Gathering Group Academy. He loves volunteering and community mobilization activities and actively lead the community in Cayenne State. His volunteer experience regarding cultures includes teacher at Karen Literature and culture Dong dance at Tipo San Village for 3 years, and he has volunteered at Gayuna Foundation during COVID-19. So they will be sharing with us teacher experience of conducting cultural activities in the class and student testimony. Minglaba. I am a representative from Taunglaya Education Gathering Group, EGG Academy. So I will be sharing the activities, the cultural exchange program in our academy. So there are, so this is taken from, a photo is taken from an event, a cultural exchange program, and 5 different ethnic races will be we're taking part. So what are the learning points? So there are learning points are to encourage youth to value and practice their own unique culture. So this is not only for the not only for us, but also for everyone attending this webinar. And we are another learning point for us is to be aware of the culture and tradition around us. So, and next one is that they're realizing the importance of maintaining our culture. So first of all, I would like to give a brief information on our Gathering Group Academy. It is a 2-year program, and the name is Social and Development Studies. So it was founded in 2012. So it was founded by current leadership, scholarship alumni, religious leaders, and active community members. So now we have 5 partner schools in Myanmar. So they are in Kachin, Kaya, Kayen, Chin, and Shan. So we have 5 partner schools. So all these 5 partner schools are named under Myanmar Education Foundation. So we also have visions that is to have more empowered youth as the agents of positive change in Myanmar. So the one of the objectives is for the students across the country. We would like them to be empowered, and we also want them to be an agent for positive change in Myanmar. So we they must be students are from different backgrounds, like they are over 18, so who have finished high school levels. So how do we bring culture and heritage to classroom? So as it is a 2-year program, so in the first 6 months, we teach community development. So in the community, that the students have volunteer work in the community. And for the curriculum, we use curriculum from MOU Education and Piatt University. So what are our teaching methods? Our teaching methods include interview, as there are a lot of so in teaching methods, so our teaching methods are not mainly on lecturing methods. So as there are many different ethnicities or races in our in the area, so we focus on practical work. So we use interview method. So we interview family members, like parents, about their own culture and tradition. So before, they did not realize their own culture and tradition, because they just lived on without realizing the value. So because of the this kind of interview exercise, they came to realize their own culture and tradition. And we also have visit to current villages and museums. And another teaching method is to provide case studies, and the students themselves present their own cases, and they also present how they solve their problems. And we also invite guest speakers. So we the guest speakers provide their sharing sessions. And another one is to be familiar or to have a better relationship with the community. There is also a program to visit the community and have conversation with the community members. And for outside learning, according to the situations, there are service learning activities and the pay site visits. So this is not teaching method is not solely in the classroom. So they are for them to be in touch with the culture. They have lots of practical activities. And for culture practice, since students are from diverse diverse cultures, so they learn from each other. So now in the picture, as you can see, the current students are teaching their classmates how to dance Korean dance. And there are also Bo'o, Mon, and other other ethnic groups. And regarding cooking culture food, so what they do is that they cook culture food together. It is not cooking alone. So while for their cooking, and they have to share the culture which is related to this particular food. We also encourage the students to learn cultural activities, and they are also encouraged to visit local people and learn their heritage. And on every Wednesday, the students are requested to put on cultural clothes. So on that day, they proudly wear or put on their cultural clothes. So some like in the past, some were like shy or ashamed to put on their cultural clothes, but now we can see that there is a change in their attitude. So now they are proudly wearing their cultural clothes. And for demonstration and role play, as you can see in the picture. So in the middle, so they are learning how to make mat. So actually, it is you see this activity every day in your life. But if you do not study well, then you won't value it. So this is how we put culture into practice. So sometimes the culture and also the practices which have been with us for years without knowing or without actively realizing. So for example, regarding your identity. So as you put on your Karen costume, and then can you say or can you name yourself as a Karen? So you need that. For this, we also encourage the students to reflect on their identity. So they also learn different values. So what are the core values in different cultures? So learning different values in different cultures, we will be able to live harmoniously. And the students are encouraged to cultivate the practice of respect. So paying respect to each other is very important. So to be able to respect, we need to know their culture, their core value. And we also create space for the students so that they will be able to take initiatives related to culture and tradition. For example, if they want to teach their own language to other students, so they have, we have created a space for them so that they will be able to learn from each other. And the students can also organize culture events. They can take part, in the culture events. They can jointly hold or celebrate culture events. And another one is as explained to you earlier. So this is about surface learning activities. So we provide services to the places where it is needy. So from these activities, the students can learn a lot. So in the first picture, you will see that our students picking up litter at Mount Suegabe. So from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain. So together with CSO, our students took part in this picking up litter. And the picture next to it is harvesting in the community. So rice is main stable food. Main or stable food. So for this harvesting is not is not an ordinary job, but it is a very important like job for us. So like since we have been like neglecting and like we don't know how to do harvesting, so we take part in the harvesting to learn how to harvest like systematically. And we also visit museum and like, so this is also MEF Cultural Exchange Program. So like these are pictures from 4 different partner schools, Kaya, Kachin, Kayin, and Shan. So the representatives from all these 4 partner schools took part in this cultural exchange. So they cooked their traditional food. They share their traditions, cultures, and they also talk about their costume. So there are some challenges. So some like it is difficult for them to access the costume, their costume. So for this, it is difficult to. So what they have to do is they have to make their own traditional clothes as they are away from their own like land. So in this case, they have to make their own cultural clothes. So let me also share the brief history of cultural exchange project. So this kind of cultural exchange project started since batch 1. So now we reach batch 11. So according to the like current situation, so we like there are like different programs for MEF student exchange, and you can also have like student exchange program in your own partner school. So for this kind of culture, like exchange program, they can exchange culture and tradition, and they can also learn how to respect values and identities of different ethnics, and they know or they learn how to live like together in a harmonious way. So what are the benefits we have gained? So in the community, the students live in, they have a strong and supportive relationship with the community. And like they are also like there is also interdependency. So they are interdependent on each other, between the student and the community. And activities like can be seen through social media platform and like through the posted activities. So the student, our school has the information about our school has been like promoted. So these are the community engagement like activities in our school. So our school is in current state. So like you will see like more like activities on activities related to Karen ethnic group. So this is also a ceremony related to Karen. So that is Karen wrist tying ceremony. So this ceremony is led by the students. So in this ceremony, like dancing is also involved, and you can also see the community involvement in this ceremony. And this is a cultural exchange like program. This was taken in 2022. So the students like represent, or the students like led the program, the exchange program, and like you can also see that, like you can see their culture, you can also see their value. So as you can see, when like it is very like important to understand the do's and don'ts, especially when you put on the ethnic costumes. So as I have explained to you earlier, so some costumes are not easily accessible, so the students have to make their own costume. So regarding traditional food, like instead of like cooking and displaying the food, they have to study. They have to study the tradition and also the history of the food and how to display the food. So from this like exchange program, they have also gained a lot of like benefits. So their cultural awareness has been improved, and there is also an improved relationship between family members. And the students the students have been aware of their cultural activities, and now you can see their improved like participation in their cultural activities, and they can also represent their culture. And before they did not understand their culture, but now because of the cultural exchange program, they value they come to know about their culture, and also they come to be proud of like putting on their own costumes. And this kind of like program can also enhance like social cohesion. So what are the challenges? So as like teacher, I do not have like enough like information. So when I have been asked critical questions from the students, so I could not give what like informative like knowledge or information, and like human resources for the like speakers. So like it is difficult to get hold of like speakers for the right topic. And another challenge is related to budget allocation. So sometimes we have to use our own resources. Sometimes we want to invite like a lot of people, but due to some limitations in terms of budget or in terms of resources, then like we can't like invite like a lot of people. So there is a challenge related to organizing the activities. So to be able to pass on the culture to the next generation, so what we need to do is we need to have the knowledge and also the skills. So instead, so we have to, the message I would like to give here is we also need to like value our own culture, so that we will be able to pass on this living in like heritage to other generation. Thank you. Minglaba. So I participated in the culture exchange, and what have I gained? So I would like to share my experience. So first of all, like I am a current but in the culture exchange program, I took part in the culture exchange as a more ethnic like person. So from this, I have like understand. So I have learned the history and the values and the practices of Mon ethnicity. Before I could also compare and contrast what I know about like Mon ethnic in the past, and now the history and values and practices of Mon ethnicity. Now I have learned from the culture exchange program. So I have also learned the importance and the importance of the culture of Mon ethnicity, and like it after gaining like knowledge on the culture and value of like Mon ethnicity. So I have a better understanding how I can improve communication and relationship with other like people, or with other people from the different ethnicities. And so I had like the better self-analysis, and like before, and also like regarding like questioning. So there are some like questions I could not like ask them because I because like I was reluctant if I could like hurt their feelings. So I could not I did not ask questions. But now I have like realized the importance of culture maintenance, and I also realized that it is not to be reluctant to ask questions if I want to explore more about their ethnicity and their culture, etc. So and like from this cultural exchange program, so I would like to know more about their culture, their like ethnicity. So for this, I look for like books or like literature, and I also ask my friends to get more information. Even though I am a Korean, I took part in the cultural program as more. So for this, there were some like challenges to represent as more, even though I am a Korean. So I was very excited, and I was also happy, but I also had some worries. So to study the cultural and also the tradition of an ethnic group, it will take a lot of time, and like you if you have like time limitation, then you cannot like study the whole thing. And so for this, my challenge here is the preparation period was like limited, and as I wasn't like familiar, as I'm not very familiar with their culture, so I could not like present. I could not represent like fully, and like finding like finding resource person is very important. So like you cannot just look for like literature and like read and like present. What you need to do is like you also need a resource person. So like for this, I looked for the resource person, and we interviewed that resource person. And another one is like culture dance. So in the program, the students are to perform a dance. So for this, and another thing is we also need to prepare some food. So for this, we need a lot of preparation. We learned how to dance. And so for this, we ask our Mon friend, and we also watch videos or like YouTube. We also look for some dances on YouTube, and we train ourselves to dance. And we also prepared ourselves how to make more food. So yes, these are the challenges. So for me, this is the first experience. So for me, this is invaluable, and I must say that this is a great opportunity for me. Thank you very much. So thank you very much for everyone who has been taking part in this webinar. Thank you. So after listening to your presentation, I would like to come to you and join your classes or. So here in your presentation, you talk about the cultural dance, you talk about food, and you also talk about role play. So this is unlike traditional teaching. So in this kind of teaching and learning environment, we can see a lot of practical work. So from this kind of cultural cultural incorporation into classroom language, into classroom lessons, this is very valuable for the community as well as for the students. And this I have also learned that this kind of teaching can enhance social cohesion. So I have seen, or I really appreciate the activities you have presented. I would like to visit you one day. So from education or through education, we have when we incorporate intangible cultural heritage into the classroom, this is also a good practice for the students to get ready for their decent jobs after education. So from all the speakers, we have learned a lot, which is valuable for our life. So there are a lot of questions we can see in the Q&A. So for this, due to time limitation, we cannot address all the questions, but when we will send you the PowerPoint PPTs, and also the answer to your questions. So I would like to let you know that the information will be sent back to you. I would like to pick and choose some questions. So first of all, I would like to ask Lilina. So thank you very much for 6 steps that you have shared. Can you please also give us more examples how you use the 6 steps in the classroom? please provide some examples.
Hello, thank you for your question. So to give some examples of the schools that I have worked with, how they use the 6 steps is just basically understanding the context that they already have. But then the thing that have changed before and after their training of the 6 steps is that they have widened the kind of questions about the living heritage and also the needs of the community better. For example, instead of just doing a research of how to weave something, a textile, that's it. They study in depth more about the dangers, the threats to that living heritage, which actually is the heart to safeguarding it. And it can also enhance the community's meanings and values. For example, there is a case in Chiang Mai where teachers for 2nd grade, only grade 2, she did a field visit to a local village, and they walked around to survey together to see what kind of living heritage or cultural practice are present in their community. And as such, the students pointed out, only 2nd grade, and then they said, like, how come all the houses have a very kind of bamboo weave in front of their houses, stick to in front of their house, but different shapes. So with that, the students were interested, so that the teacher said, okay, then let's pick this living heritage together. Like, let's find a question about this bamboo weaving that is put in front of the house, of different houses. And in that village, there are many ethnicities, so there's diversity as well. So what the students did is that after that, the teacher arranged, talked to the local leader and said, can I take students on a field trip here? 200 students, young ones. And then the local community said, yes, of course. They will help protect the students while they're walking around to make sure the safety is there. They're adults and they're like volunteer guards to make sure of the traffic and make sure of all the logistics. And the students went to interview and talk casually with anyone in the community because the community were already informed that there will be a field visit. So the students just asked, like, grandma, what does it mean? And then they learn in the end that that is called palao, or a bamboo kind of protective charm against all kind of evil, and also to protect the people in the house. But they have different ways of saying it, different names, different materials. Some will add flowers, some will add some kind of pandan leaves, etc., etc. But then the students get to learn about it. So after the field trip, they came back to do drawing, simple drawing, and sharing casually. But the outcome that transcends beyond the classroom is that seniors in the community said that after school, many young kids now came to visit me and said, tell me more about this, teach me how to do it. And then they were like genuinely interested in it. So this is some example of how to use the 6 step, especially in the approach of involving the community in the process, with the approval of the local community leaders, of the school teachers, and also of the parents in the community. And that actually brought to, and then the teacher gathered all the information of the students and then developed into a kind of like an archive that the other semesters can build on it. So I think if I could answer your question to that one, and I saw in the Q&A also, like what to do if in a classroom you have many ethnicities, like students from different ethnic backgrounds. Actually, that is a positive like advantage. That is a really, really great case, even though there could be a challenge. But I would like to actually twist it around and say that it's not a challenge, but it is such an advantage because you can actually develop a theme on something and then allow different students from different cultural backgrounds to answer or to present according to this common theme. So you can develop a theme and then the diversity will come out and students can learn about differences in cultural background and practices. So your class will actually promote a lot of cultural competence, cultural intelligence, and also, appreciation for different cultures.
Another question is to Siama Nanchipo. So in your schools, it is very impressive. So to have more information, how can I reach out to you? So the question will go to Siamananchepo. So to reach out to us, there is a Facebook page. I will send you the link. I will send you the link. So through the Facebook link, you can reach out to us. So the application form will be like available for like August intake, and like for batch 12, the applications for batch 12, so the intake will be like announced on our Facebook page. So like some questions are related to our resource like sharing session. For example, for primary school like learners, how can we integrate ICH? And some mentioned that they are really interested and how they can like implement. So we have a lot of like questions. And so in my, like after my presentation, you will be able to find out how you can do this. So for this, I would like to make my presentation, and like after my presentation, you will have some like resources. Like in some places, so like some like a heritage like has been like fading out. So for this like maintenance is important, but like people do not people like ignore to maintain culture. So, and another one is like there are like limitations to incorporate ICH in the classroom or in the lessons. So for this, what are the like resources available in like locally? So it is important to pay a visit to the like local like areas, and it is also important to use locally available like materials or resources while like incorporating or while like using this kind of ICH like teaching. So for this third like session, I would like to share some of the some resources like available from UNESCO. So I will also share the links from which you can download the resources. So I will share the link in the chat. And I will also like include the links and the resources together with the like PowerPoint slides when I send out to you. So how to integrate ICH in the lesson? So there are like more than like 100 lesson plans, which and like there is also an online course available. So the lesson plans are in English. So for the time being, so like there are also like questions if the resources are available in Myanmar language. So like we have like Myanmar teacher platform. So from in this website or in this platform, we have the e-library and e-learning. So in the e-library, we have more than like 200 books available. You can download the books. So there are like there are like resource like books, and you can also see the 6 steps as like Miss Linina has like explained to you. So you can also download the book, the resource kit, and from our like Yangon UNESCO, Myanmar UNESCO, we have been like translating the book into Myanmar language. So in a few months, the book will be available in Myanmar language. And for this, you will be able to download the Myanmar version too. So once it is available, we will upload it. And there are many other like resources available. You can download and you can study the books. So regarding e-learning, so you can access online courses. There are 5 categories. So education for peace and sustainable development. For this, there are 7 modules. So today we have education for peace and sustainable development, peace and education, like 3 types of culture, and how the lesson can be taught like through 6 steps. So the video lessons are also available, like quizzes are also there. You can take this course, to take this course, first you need to get yourself like registered. So to ensure your lifelong learning, you can study the courses. You can take like courses in this platform, and you can also have ICT courses. You can also have curriculum and pedagogy, like media and information literacy, and comprehensive sexuality education, etc. So I would like to encourage the attendees to take the courses according to your preference. And I would like to encourage you to take a look at the courses. Let me also share other resources, the animation videos. There are 6 animation videos. You can also make use of the animation videos when providing training. I will also share the link with you. I will also provide the link to you. So this is these are the resources, the online courses, like through which you can learn how to incorporate intangible cultural heritage. So to conclude this webinar, I would like to express my thanks to the speakers. So all the presenters, I would like to really express my thanks to you, and I really thank you for giving or sharing your experience, your invaluable knowledge. I also thank Mr. Ichiri for delivering your opening remark. And I would like to thank all the educators, teachers, and the participants who are present in this like webinar. So our UNESCO, like Myanmar, will continue like provide like online like webinars. So for this, I would like to request you to continuously like participate in our future webinar. I thank you, everyone. And there will be a survey link that will pop up after this like webinar. So please answer the take part in the like survey so that we will be able to like improve our future webinars. So that's why your comments and your feedback are highly appreciated. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thank you, everyone.